Yeah, so I'm going to record this session just for the reference. Okay, so this doesn't count as the main, you know, the clinical programming video, but just for reference, I'm going to record it, right? Yeah. So let us start. Now, so SAS programming as in basically like whatever you have learned already, like base and advanced, the same. So, so when we have to work in different genres other than clinical, okay, like banking or healthcare or into some other sectors when we want to work. So, based on the work requirement, we write the programs, we submit the programs and get the output, and we'll be submitting it to the client. So that's how it works. But when it comes to the clinical, so in clinical also we will be using the same programming. So there will be nothing difference in the way that we write the program based on the requirement. Okay. Suppose if you are asked to calculate, um, say like average. So the same proc means procedure we will be using, or proc summary procedure we will be using. Suppose if you have to count the data based on a variable, right? So you will be using frequency procedure. So either in clinical or in other genres. So the way that we write the program or the procedure that what we use to achieve that output will remain same. Nothing difference with the programming part. Okay. So the only difference is when we work for clinical, so mainly we will be working for clinical trial data. Okay. So clinical trials is nothing but, so I'll just tell you like briefly what is a clinical trial, but we'll go in detail once our main session starts from tomorrow. Okay. Clinical trial is nothing but in order to launch a new drug or new medication or a new vaccine or a new therapy into the market, it should undergo the trial process as in, we can say like, that experimenting stage. Okay. So it need to undergo the experimenting stage, right? Trial process. So whatever data that's been recorded at that time, so on that data we will be working on.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yep. So on the data we will be working on. Okay. So that particular data should be submitted to the regulatory. So each country has got its own regulatory. Like suppose if it's US market, then it is FDA, or if it is Indian market, then it is DCGI, I guess, if I'm not wrong. If it is European markets, then they have got their own, we say like EMAs, European Medical Agencies. Okay. So now, in order to submit this clinical trial data to regulatory, how the data whatever been recorded, so that we call it as raw data. Okay, study raw data. So that study data or that raw data cannot be submitted as it is. So the data need to be processed following a standard that is developed by CDISC organization. Okay, so CDISC organization has developed several standards. Actually, we call CDISC standard, like SDTM CDISC standard, ADAMS CDISC standards we keep calling, right? So those are nothing but the standards that are developed by that organization, by CDISC organization. So we need to follow that standards and then process the data. Then, it should be submitted to the regulatory. Now, in order to process this data, we need an application, right? So one of the most widely used application is SAS, right? So that is why we need to learn SAS programming, which you have done already, isn't it? Like base and advanced. So now, to process this data, not only the application, so we also need to follow a standard to process this data. So that standard is CDISC standard, which we will be learning now. Okay, right? So that is the main difference between working for clinical genre and working for the other genres. Okay, so when you're working for clinical genre, in order to process the data, we need an application which is SAS, and that data should be processed following a standard that is developed by CDISC organization. So we need to learn the standards. In order to work for other than clinical, you just need an application to process the data. Okay, so if you learn the application, that is sufficient. So, after learning SAS programming, like base and advanced programming, one can start working for the other sectors. Got it? So that's the main difference between clinical and the other. So that is why, we keep calling like clinical SAS programming. So there is nothing like clinical SAS programming or financial SAS programming. So SAS programming is just one, which we keep using it in different genres. Okay. Now, let me show you like what all I will be covering as part of clinical. Okay. Yeah. So starting from tomorrow, so first we will be talking about the clinical project work process. Okay, so like once we are part of the clinical project, right? So we should know like what is the complete work process, right? Like because it's just like in that whole chain we are just a small part, isn't it? So there will be like a lot of other teams that will be involved before us, and even after us there will be like several teams that will be involved. Okay, so until submission to the regulatory, so what all the teams are involved and what all the works are carried out by different teams. Okay, so when we understand, I mean, we no need to understand pretty much like in detail about each and every team's work, but if we have an idea about like what each team is doing, okay, like an outline, if we have an idea, then it becomes easy for us to survive in the industry and also to understand the work that we are doing. Okay, right? So first we will be talking tomorrow about clinical trial process, like what is a clinical trial, right? And how many phases were involved, and in each phase, what are the end parameters, okay, which is very important, isn't it? So for every particular stage of work or for every particular phase of work, okay, so there will be always an end parameter. No, we know like what is the end parameter, and we will be, our entire work, whatever we have to do or what we will be doing will be inclined towards that end parameter, isn't it? Right? So as we were talking about clinical and a drug, so what will be the end parameters in generally? Like, so how safe the drug is, right? And how effective the drug is, and how the patients were responding uh, after taking the drug. So what is the behavior of the patients before taking the drug and after taking the drug? So so we will be very clear about the end parameters, isn't it? And towards that end parameters, our whole work will be inclined, like the analysis work or the reporting work, isn't it? Or in terms of like processing the data, that work, everything will be inclined towards that. So you know so at each and in each and every phase, what are the end parameters and how it works. Okay, so all that we will be discussing, and also what all the different teams that are involved in this whole chain. So we may not be discussing about like each and every role or each and every like sub teams, but the main team we will be discussing about. Okay, right? So what all the main teams that will be involved, so that we will talk. Suppose say if it comes to a clinical data management team, so there will be like several sub teams, isn't it, within that, and there will be several roles will be played by different people. So we no need to discuss all of that. Okay, so clinical data management team, as in like what is their main responsibility, how do they process the data, that we will be discussing. Okay, so like this, what all the teams will be involved, we'll discuss. And when, so we will be, SAS programmers are part of which team and what role or what responsibilities they will be carrying. Okay, that we will be discussing in detail, because we are going to be the SAS programmers, no, right? So for which team we will be part of and what is our main responsibility, so that we will discuss in detail. Okay, so that complete, and also what is the industry workflow. Okay, and when we are learning the uh, our part, okay, what is our workflow. Okay, because sometimes whatever flow the work will happen in real time. Okay, so learning in that path will be easy. Okay, but when it comes to this clinical part, in whatever flow the work will be happening, in that flow we cannot learn the work. Okay, so first we need to start from somewhere in between, and then we will be able to connect to the pre-work. Okay, so what is the industry workflow and in which flow we need to learn. Okay, so we will be discussing all these points very clearly. Okay, so then we'll start learning about the standards. Okay, and integrating that standards with the programming part. Okay, so all this we will be learning through programming. Okay, like whatever programming that you have already done in base and advanced, the same programming we will be learning. Okay, I mean, not learning, we will be doing, or we will be using the same programming, and while learning the standard. Okay, so the only request from my end is, okay, so tomorrow is going to be Thursday IST, right? Friday IST. Thursday IST and Friday IST, I will be discussing all this document. Okay, I'll be explaining you the entire process very clearly. The first two sessions, although theory part, it is very important for you to connect to your real work. Okay, because we will be discussing like uh, the complete, the industry flow. Okay, or once you get into the real time. Okay, so when you were like assigned for a project, for you should be able to understand that project flow, no? Okay, so the first two sessions are very important for that. Okay, so tomorrow and day after tomorrow we are going to do that part. So while we were doing or discussing this part, so you will be getting 2 days of time, Thursday, Friday, and weekend anyways we are not going to do the session. We will be doing the sessions from Monday to Friday IST. Okay, so weekend, Saturday, Sunday, weekend, so 4 days in total you are going to have the time. So in this 4 days, I know that you are very well versed with your base and advanced programming. I don't have doubt about it. So but just my only concern is, one second, or my only request is, okay, I'll highlight some topics from this curriculum. I hope everyone has got this curriculum document, isn't it? Okay, so I'll highlight some topics from this curriculum document. I'll share this document with you guys. Like I'll take the mail ID from the organizer and I will share you this document. So whatever topics that I have highlighted, make sure you brush up those topics one more time. Okay, over this 4 days. Okay, not too many topics. Okay, I'll be whatever that I highlight just to go through. Okay, and focus more on it. Creating the libraries. Okay. um, Prog import, mainly Excel. Okay. Mm, keep, drop, rename, label. Okay. Conditional operators, no excuse at all. Okay. Where if subsetting the data. Okay. Focus on all the logical operators, arithmetic operators, and conditional operators. Okay, like how do you write where statement, how do you write if else. Okay, and do loop also. Okay, how do you use do within your if statement. Okay, make sure you are very thorough with it. It will be good if you could understand the difference very clearly between where and if. That will really help us. Proc, sort, learn it. Okay, very important. So we don't do a single program without writing proc sort, believe me. So when we try creating a data set, you will never know how many times we use proc sort. Okay, and you never know how many times you use first dot. Okay, and no dupe key, especially the options like no dupe key. No dupe key we use like plenty of times. Okay, So make sure you understand very thoroughly what is no loop key, okay, and proc sort procedure and the by statement. First dot, retain, okay. Of course, last dot also we will be using, okay. Maybe may not be that intense, okay, but first dot retain very intense, very intensely we use, mainly to align the variables. And also you know the function of retain statement, right? We use retain statement to align the variables in a data set. At the same time, we can also use retain statement to store the previous observation data values, isn't it? For both the purposes we use retain very intensely, okay. So make sure you focus on that. And upcase, lowcase, prop may not be prop case, may not be prop case too much, but upcase we use a lot. Anyways, if you learn one, the other two are also like, just follows, right? It's very easy only. uh, of course, compress, combl, scan, you will never know how many times you use, okay. We use it very intensely. And then subst are also same, okay. And we use the cat functions a lot, okay, especially concatenation operator. Rather than the cat functions, I say concatenation operator and strip function, okay. If you learn those two functions, the other functions you can easily understand, right? Trim and all, that's not a problem. Then date and time functions, okay. So what are the functions we have to extract the date and time values, and what are the functions we have to do the calculations with date and time? Very important, okay. uh, you never know how many times you keep using combining data sets, both stacking and merging. Make sure you are very thorough with these two concepts. I mean, see, thorough as in, my intention is not you should be thorough with the syntax. What is there in a merging syntax? Tell me. Honestly speaking, the merging syntax is very easy, right? What is there in it? Like, we write data, in what name we want to create the data set, merge, like we give the file names, we write the by statement, and we write the run. So I don't want you to, uh, you know, learn about the syntax or remembering the syntax. I want you to understand how the output is going to be based on the program that you write, or based on the output requirement, how you should write the program. So that is what I want you to learn, okay. So read between the outputs, okay, like based on the output what program you need to write, and based on the program what kind of output you are going to get, you need to imagine. I mean, you should be able to think of it. So that's very important, because see, maybe like when we learn the programming, we will be learning with, maybe, in each data set with 5 observations, or in within each data set with 10 observations, we will be learning, isn't it? But when we come into the real picture, the data will not be of 5 lines or 10 lines, right? It's going to be like hundreds of records, or thousands of records, or millions of records. So when you have, like, when the data is pretty low, manual checking will be possible. But when the data is not pretty low, I mean, think big. So when the data is very big, manual checking will not be possible. So like whatever logic that we write, okay, we should be able to think of that logic in between, okay. Like, okay, so if this is the case, this is the output we are going to get, but if this is the case, then what kind of output are we going to get? So for the logic that we wrote, are we going to get that expected output or not, right? So that need to be, we should think of it like in detail, okay. So in that aspect, I want you to brush up the topics that what we were highlighting now, okay. So use if statement, okay, with if also we use that if now. Alias names, we assign the alias names, right? Like in a, in b, using in operators, and then we write if, isn't it? So that also, okay. So that is actually the good part with SAS programming is the syntax is not complex. The syntax is very easy. Okay, it's anyone can remember. Uh, so what need to be understood like over a period of time is, so as per the output that we want, so which logic exactly works. So after writing the logic, are we going to get the same expected output, or is it going to do wrong somewhere? So we need to think in that aspect. Okay, so make sure you practice or you look at the concept in that way, right? We use a lot here merging. Okay, uh, transpose also same, we use lot. Okay, in the whole clinical project. Loops pretty much, it's like for advanced programming, if we want to go, then we will be using loops. Otherwise we pretty much don't use loops. I mean, lot, that's okay. Frequency we use a lot. Means or summary, both are same na, nothing difference, right? It's like minor difference of means and summary. Print for reporting, report for reporting, okay, we use a lot. ODS, okay, learn all the 4 destinations, but mostly we will be using either PDF or RTF. Okay, but learn all the 4 destinations. Okay, I mean, not on high priority. Okay, but focus. Okay, because I don't want to say that everything is important. Okay, especially for the project that what we are going to now do now, whatever is important, I'm highlighting that topics. Learn both G chart and SG plot. Okay, in terms of charts. Array programming, I told you na, do loop and arrays are like a bit advanced, so that's okay. For normal, the not that much. Look at SQL coding. Okay, will really help a lot, especially like like what select is doing from where, group by having order. Okay, and then you can also look at the joins. Okay, look at complete SQL. Okay, and then look at creating the macros and macro catalogs like keyword positional parameters. Okay, the what are the debugging options you have? So try running it, and what are the different methods we have to create the macro variables. Okay, make sure you focus on all this topic, right? So whatever topics that I have highlighted now, I'll share this document. So in this 4 days, make sure you focus on these topics. Okay, so then uh, it becomes, I mean, you will feel comfortable. Okay, while doing the project, right? See why I'm saying that, as in so as an example, I'll show you like one of the program file. Okay, so this is like one of the very simple program only for creating the domains. So that is what our work will be based on. Okay. So I mean, I'll show you like what all the inputs we will be receiving to do all this programming and how to understand that input documents or the source documents. So all that I will show you. Okay. But actually, this is all the programs that we will be writing in the class. Okay. So just for my reference, I wrote these programs. Okay. For my own, but we will be writing line to line code. Okay, by looking at the source documents and by understanding the source documents, we'll write the line to line code. Okay, see, you can actually now notice here, see, macro programming with all the parameters, defining the parameters and all, right? And then merge program, sort procedures. Okay, of course, a trip statement I'll tell you. Okay, at the time, like in order to assign the labels and lengths. Okay, and put and input statements. So put statement we use to convert character data type to numeric. No, put statement we use to convert numeric data type to character. Input we use to convert character data type to numeric, right? So put and input also we use plenty of times. Okay. So put and input statements about the formats also. Like what all the formats we have for date and what all the formats we have for time. Learn that formats and informats thoroughly. Okay, see if statements. Okay, Same, see, retain statement. Okay, creating XPT and all, I'll tell you later on, like when we were doing it. So this is like one of the simple job only. Okay, see, for that simple job only, this much programming we have used. Okay, so make sure you become you're very strong at the topics that what I have highlighted. Okay, so in that way you will be very comfortable in terms of programming. So then we can put our whole effort and attention towards learning the standard and towards understanding the uh, complete project. Okay, right, this is very important. Yeah. So for doing tables, okay, or for doing graphs or for doing listings, SAS programming is really very important. See, for example, I'll show you table. Okay. Uh, these are the programs I wrote for my reference. Okay. But in class, we will be writing the programs line to line. See here again, same that set statement, keep. Okay. And then the SQL programming. Okay. And the if statements, right? Same, like nothing difference in the way that we use the SAS procedures that we learned in base and advanced. So if we are thorough with the procedures, then see this program we wrote based on this particular document. Okay, so now this is the document provided to us. Okay, and this is the data provided to us in the form of SAS data sets only. They have given the data for us. These are the two data sets. Okay, and this is the report template. Okay, I mean model report. So now using that provided data, okay, and by looking at this template, we need to write the program exactly to get this report. Okay, so that is how basically our real-time work will be based. Okay, so we will be provided with something like they will tell us like, okay, this is how we should get the output, or this is how our output should look like. Okay, and now here is the data for you to generate that report or to generate that output. So now here we need to use our entire programming skills to get that output. Okay, so it's not complex, it's very easy when we know how to use the application. Okay, so application is nothing but here we use SAS application, no? So when we are good with SAS programming, it will be very easy for us. It's not at all complex. Okay, so here this whatever that cross is there, we shouldn't get that crosses, we should get some values in that place. Okay, so what value we should get in that place, and in order to get that value, what procedure we have to use, and once we get the output from that procedure, how we should process that output. Okay, to get that exactly that template, I mean exactly that model. Okay, it's not difficult, we'll get that. Okay, but we should be thorough with the programming part. See, here is the program, right? So here this is the entire program we actually wrote to generate that report. Okay, we will be of course doing it in the class, so then you will come to know, but otherwise, yeah, right? So that's why I was stressing you so much, to become, make sure you are very comfortable and you are thorough with that procedures, right? Given plenty of time, you should be able to. Okay, yeah. Do you have any questions? Anyone? Brijali, Madhavi, Mamata, Nilesh, Rajni, Sadhana, and Ranjan. Sorry, Rananjay, right? Yeah. Any questions, or are you clear so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm? Yeah,
Um,
I'm
Ma'am, I
there.
have a question.
Yeah. Rajni,
Yes, ma'am.
Rajnikant. Okay, yeah, Rajni, yes.
So, how long it gonna take, ma'am, to finish the whole clinical SAS training and
Whole, I mean, just clinical only, right? Not base and advanced
yes,
programming,
no,
correct?
I've done
Ah,
with the base and
you have
advance.
done with base and advanced. I'll take 6 weeks, Rajni.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll take 6 weeks. So where 3 weeks, let us dedicate for, 3 weeks as in, don't count tomorrow and day after tomorrow's class. Okay.
Okay.
Starting from next week, Monday, it will be 6. So where I will dedicate around 3.5 weeks for SDTMs only. Okay.
Okay.
And the rest for table listing, graph and Adams. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, because SDTM is like little bigger one, which we need to focus. Okay, so maybe like 1 or 2 sessions I will dedicate for doing CRF annotation. I mean, one session for annotation and one session for spec document. Although sometimes because some industries in some companies still they are expecting SAS programmers to do the CRF annotation and specifications document creation. I mean, I'll tell you like what are those documents and everything. Okay, in
Yeah.
some companies they are not expecting, but you never know, right? Like suppose if you get a job and if you get into the work, you never know like what work will be allocated to so that's why I will maybe like 2 sessions I'll be taking for that annotation part and specifications document preparation, like how it will be done, so that you will have an idea. Okay, so in case
Okay.
if you are allocated with that work also, you will be able to manage. Okay, so for that
Ma'am,
reasons. Yep.
like, will you connect us through the WhatsApp or anything? Because I have some question. I'm into the market right now, so I'm giving interviews. So I have some questions regarding the interviews. So can I talk to you regarding that?
Yes. I mean, I will grab all of your mail IDs now. Okay, and then I
Okay.
will share that document which I have highlighted the topics, that curriculum document I will share with you, and within that same email only I will add my WhatsApp contact and also the email. Okay, so you can contact
Yeah.
me either way. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
because this
Thank
is our first session, no? So
you.
that's
Yeah,
why I
yeah, yeah.
don't have any of your mail IDs. I will take from Balu. Okay,
Balu. Yeah, yeah.
uh, I'll take
Thank you,
from
ma'am.
Balu and I will
Yeah.
share. Any other questions? Do you have anyone? Mm-hmm. No? Actually, you can talk to me freely, okay? Do not hesitate if you have any questions, okay? So just in case, so we haven't started the sessions yet, right? So tomorrow when we start the sessions also, suppose say that if you have a question, make sure you ask me, okay, at the same time, right? So do not hesitate at all. I'm happy to repeat, okay? Let's take it as like the friendly sessions only. Okay, so you do not think that what if you ask a question. Okay, how do I feel? I'll be feeling very happy if you keep asking the questions. Okay, right? um yeah, so and it can be like a friendly session. Okay, so no need to go like too formal or uh you know that's all absolutely fine. Okay, yeah, because this is very important. Okay, so if you have not connected at a single stage also, it will remain as the question mark for you. Okay, the whole project will be like a question mark to you, so you can never pick up in which direction you are going again. Okay, and what I suggest is so once the session starts tomorrow, uh, whatever we have discussed in that particular session, make sure that you write it down on a notepad. Okay, not the digital one. So use your traditional methods, like how we studied for in our childhood, like take a notepad and that is how you keep writing it up. Okay, so that will actually help you to understand the project workflow very clearly. Okay, so that actually gives you the confidence to talk in the interviews also. Okay, I'm not saying that I will be keeping each and every I mean, it's not that everything we can discuss in detail, okay, in terms of like the real work, but you will be able to connect the dots. If you miss a dot somewhere, it will go wrong. Okay, So because this is something you need to talk in the interviews also, right? Otherwise there is no point, isn't it? So that is the main reason I'm telling you that. So take a notepad and make sure you connect all the dots, whatever we have discussed in the class. Okay. So like from from which team we get the work, okay, and to which team we will be submitting. Okay, so when we understand that, that complete interconnection, when we are able to understand, you know it's like 50% you will be very comfortable, 50 to 60%. Literally speaking, when we get into an industry, 40 to 50% is technical, okay, and the other 50 to 60% is how we understand the project flow. Okay, right? So throughout clinical, when we are doing, you dedicate a notebook for that. Okay, so dedicate a notebook and make sure you write with your own hands, so that will be really, you can see that you will notice the difference. Okay, so I mean, since we are going to start from tomorrow, I thought, like, I can give you this tip. So that's how actually even I learned when I did a clinical project. Okay, so back, like, I started my work. I mean, I didn't introduce myself, right? Yeah. So I worked as a data analyst back in India, and then later on I moved overseas. So when I was posted, I mean, initially I did like some of the projects for finance and banking. So then later on, like, that is how in the service based back in India, like service based companies work, right? Like, um, so it's like, you will be put into different projects, isn't it? You will not be like, sitting only in one project. No? So if that is done, then you will be moving into the other project. So I worked back, like, for banking projects. So where I did like risk analytics and fraud analytics, and all that. So, but for 1 year, I worked on a banking project, 1.5 year. And then later on, I was like moved into a clinical project where I was completely new, because I was not even from clinical background also. I was like from engineering background. But, you know, um, so the way that how we prepare ourselves will, that practice actually will master us in that particular subject. Okay. So if someone, I don't know, like how many of you are from clinical background, I mean, pharma background, and how many of you are from engineering background or from other academics background. But you know you no need to definitely put yourself a back step if you are not from pharma background. Okay, so this is all the data only. Okay, so whatever analysis that we need to carry out with the data, we definitely need an application for that. So SAS is one of the most widely used application. So as we are now very strong in base and advanced programming, you know uh, so the only difference, so that is why, in the starting only I told you that the difference between clinical and finance background, I mean the banking background. So in order to process the clinical data, uh, especially the clinical trial data, okay, we need to follow the standard. I mean, whatever that particular standard is saying, so we need to understand that standard and process the data. So when it comes to the banking and the other genres like healthcare or banking, etc., that standards we no need to integrate. I mean, whatever, like, because there was no specific standards for the other. It's just like, we get the requirement, we take the data and we write the program to get it. So that's the reason, actually that is how I prepared myself, when I was moved into a clinical project back then, long time back. Okay, so that practice will really help you, to definitely to crack the interviews, or to learn the subject very thoroughly. It will take time. Okay, clinical learning this clinical standards is not, a 1 month job or a 2 month job or a 3 months job. you know it's not that, don't think that you can get everything at once. Okay, as you keep gaining more and more experience, you will get wider exposure. Okay, but otherwise, so initially, to start with, whatever we are discussing in class, make sure you read on the same day or maybe the next day. Okay, considering that you are full time workers, I mean full time you will be working, right? So considering that, may not like allocating time on the same day may not be possible, but at least the next day, or at least the over the weekend, whatever we discuss in class, make sure you pretty much focus on that. Okay, and then once you get exposure to this, now again go for the second read for the standards. Okay, like whatever standards we will be learning, go for the second read. So in the second read you will be even feeling more and more comfortable. Okay, so then again you can go for the third read. I'm not saying that you need to wait uh, you know to finish all this to get a job. Okay, so once we are done with the classes, make sure you are into the market. Okay, actually now only you can start creating your CV and keep yourself in the market. If you get an opportunity, grab it. Okay, so whatever is required for the job, I'll tell you. Okay, like when we were doing the sessions, so you, in terms of job, I mean in terms of like getting a job, you prepare in that way, right? And once you are at work also, to just make yourself master at it. Okay, keep reading. Okay, keep on reading, and every time you try to understand the concept in a different way. Don't try to understand it in the same way like before. Okay, so try to pick up like something new from it by reading in between the lines and words. You will excel in it. Okay, definitely, no doubt in it. And you will definitely have very very good opportunities. Okay, and clinical is something which is like very stable. So once you learn it, it's like one time learning basically. Okay, so if you learn a CDISC standards, okay, it's like one time learning it. Although it is like it gets upgraded, but still it will be easy to understand only, no? Right. Okay, right. Yeah, someone sent me a message. uh Mamata, why, what happened? You don't know base and advanced?
I know, but I need some time. I think so.
No, then that's fine. If you know it, then that's fine. Whatever topics that I highlighted, you just go through that topics. Okay, you no need to delay for that. Okay.
Okay, I think I need to practice more. That's why I'm asking. Uh,
Yeah. No worries, no worries. Don't take time, because if you take see, you are into this course to finish it as soon as possible and to get into the market only, right?
yes, yes, yes.
Okay, exactly. So don't postpone it definitely for learning base and advanced. If we do that, that generally never will happen, practically speaking. So, uh, whatever topics that I have shown, so just make sure you just recall the topics. Okay, this is how it works. This is how it works. Okay. So when we do that clinical project, as we will be using that procedures again and again, you will become thorough in it. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Don't delay again. Yeah, don't delay. There is no point. Okay, right? Yeah. So just give an overview. That's it. But as we use whatever the topics I have highlighted, we will be using that topics. We keep on using that topics. Actually, by the end of the clinical project, you will get bored also. Like, oh my God, how many times like we should write this procedures? Okay, so don't worry, you will become thorough. But my only intention is, so I just have given it like heads up. That's it. Okay, that's all. Like pay little attention towards that procedures. That's all. So that it will become more, you will be like more and more comfortable. Like you will be enjoying it. That's it. Okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, right. And tomorrow, like once we start the project, and when we were discussing it, don't take it too complex. Okay. Like although it is complex, we will try to break it into simple things. Okay, at a time. So when we, any complex thing, if we break it into small and small simple things, it becomes very simple. Okay, yeah. So what all needed is just the attention. That's it. Because I have trained like a lot of students on base, advanced, and also on in clinical, because it's like almost like 9 years now. Okay, I was into this clinical project and doing all this, so I have seen a lot of students. Okay, so few people think like it's like very complex and all. So don't think it's like complex and don't give up. Okay, um, we'll work together. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work together, and it will be all like friendly only. Okay, so if you don't get a point, for all of you I'm saying, don't hesitate that what others will think. Okay, because all of us are in this on the same stage. Okay, we all are on the same stage. So if you have a doubt, just raise the question, I will try to explain. Okay, if you are still not getting, or if you feel like you just need one more repeat, so that's not a problem. Like if not in the session, I can schedule an ad hoc session and we can do in it. Okay, just in case if you feel that you want to talk to me personally, or want me to do something, explain something personally, I can do it. Okay, so that's also not a problem, right? Yeah, because this is actually the last stage before you get into the work, right? I mean, before you start looking for the opportunities and get into the work. So you have come really long way now, learning base and advanced, and you have put all of your effort now in terms of learning that concepts and everything. So it should never get wasted. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. um, any questions do you have? Anyone? Brijali, Madhavi, Mamata, Nilesh, Rajni, Ranjan, no, Rananjay and Sadhana? Or are we good to close? I mean, are we good to log off?
Yes.
So that you can
Yes,
give. Yeah, you have what?
no question.
All good. Okay. Okay, so then we will be starting our day one tomorrow at the same time. Okay.
So every day it gonna be like same time, right, ma'am?
Yes, we can log in at the same time.
All right. Thank you
And
so much.
okay, and anyone from logging in from UK? No, right? I mean, anyone logging at odd timings, like in the midnight, or too early in the mornings, or late nights?
Actually, it is 9:30 p.m. for me.
Or you are logging in from US?
No,
Okay.
Canada.
Canada, okay. Um, Madhavi, what happened for you? Madhavi, you have a doubt? You have a question to me? I couldn't hear you. Sadhana, no worries at all. You are almost at the end, right? So you will pick it up. Okay.
Ma'am, a request like tomorrow I'll be
Rajni.
having interview. So
Okay.
can I talk to you like for 5 minutes?
Sure. Okay. Will
Uh, I'll drop my WhatsApp number.
otherwise I can take from Balu.
Yeah, okay. That would be
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Yes. So then we can meet tomorrow at the same time. Actually, Mamata, you are logging in at 9:30. But is 9:30 okay? I won't take too long. 9:30 to 10:30 only I'll take. Will it be
Yeah,
okay?
it's okay. It's okay.
Yes, no. Okay. Thank you, Mamata. Okay. Yeah. Okay then.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you,
We'll
ma'am.
meet tomorrow. Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Rajni. I'll take your contact from here. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now. Okay, we'll meet tomorrow at the same time and the same link. Until I notify, it will be the same link. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.